Hello and welcome, my fire-flying but not dragon leaves. Charizard. I have problems with Charizard. It not being a dragon type isn't even one of them, because, well, that's what this video will be about. My problem is that I like Charizard. And I hate it, because it's so overly used. It annoys me, but I loved it as part of my team back in Red and Blue. I always like having all the starters. But I digress. This is about why is Charizard not a dragon. So, let's go. First off, the gameplay reason. Charizard as a dragon, in accordance to the other two starters, would be bad. It would just be too overpowered. Yes, I know, Fairy is very powerful as well. And we had a Fairy type starter or two. But there's a huge difference here, because Fairy does not resist fire, grass and water. Dragon does. So it would resist all three starter types. And even if we wanna include the quote-unquote extra starter types of electric and normal for, well, let's go Pikachu and let's go Eevee. I don't really count those as really starters, but, well, it also resists electric. So, yeah. Sure, you could do a dragon type starter if you also had a fairy type starter. And maybe the other one being an ice type. Then you would have two that are good against dragon though. So, maybe a steel type against the fairy, but, well, it's hard to include that. You would have to come up with something. This is not what this video is about though. Maybe I'll do a video on that later. Now, this is gameplay out of the way. Let's go into the more origin style things about it. Charmander, and by extension Charizard of course, is based on the salamander. Well, not the actual animal, but rather the fire elemental spirit from Celtic mythology. And that one, well, it's not a dragon. It's a lizard. And lizard does not necessarily equal dragon. So, yeah, we do have more lizards in Pokemon that are not dragons after all. So, Charizard is just one of them. And, well, on top of that, a winged lizard is not necessarily a dragon. There are wizards. There are no wizards. There are lizards in reality that can, well, not really fly, more glide, but they do have kind of wings. Would you count those as dragons? Thus saying dragons are actually real? No, you wouldn't. They are still lizards. As there are stuff like the Komodo dragons, which are called Komodo dragons, but still, dragons are kind of not real. And if we can have a lizard looking like a dragon without being an actual mythical being, well, we can have a Charizard that is not a dragon, right? Then we take into account the origin of the Pokemon games. Something we can completely forget about nowadays because they take, well, inspiration from very different cultures. And granted, even in Gen 1 they kind of did, so yeah, but yeah, Asian dragons, if we're talking Asian dragons, they are not associated with fire. Asian dragons are usually associated with wind, lightning, or water rather, some even with light. But fire is not really a part of them in those mythologies, so yeah, there's that as well. Then we have the in-universe explanation we could go for. It looks like a dragon, sure, but due to observation when it comes to its strengths and weaknesses, it being weak against rock types and water types and stuff, and also electric types of course, it was just like seen, no, this might look like a lot of dragon types look, but it's actually not a dragon type. It looks like one maybe if you wanted to, but that doesn't mean it has to be one. Looks and what the actual biology is can differ. Look at the watermelon. It's a fruit, right? Wrong! The watermelon is actually a vegetable. It's part of the same family as cucumbers and pumpkins are. And, well, if you want to know the difference between fruits and vegetables, basically it's that you harvest a vegetable and it does not regrow, while a fruit does regrow. That's very simplifying it, but yeah. So, if a watermelon looks like a fruit but is not an actual fruit, we can have a dragon that's not actually a dragon, but just by looks. And while we are talking about looks, it's not even the first time Pokemon has done this. Well, technically it is. Because of Sudowoodo. It's famous for not being a grass type, albeit looking like a tree. Granted, from the eyes of us players, it kind of doesn't really look that much like a tree, but, you know, in universe, a lot of people think it's a grass type, while it is actually a rock type, so same thing can go on with Charizard. Maybe it evolved into looking like a dragon to look more powerful and intimidating to its enemies, especially, and now this is good, especially to the water types. It wouldn't be weak against two if it was a fire dragon instead of a fire flying type. So it could thwart those off just by looks. Then we have dinosaurs. And a lot of dinosaur Pokemon are actually dragon type. Looking at real world dinosaurs though, they look a lot like lizards, like Charizard does, right? Yeah, there is just a slim relation between dinosaurs and lizards. They did come from dinosaurs, technically, walking down a different path of evolution than other dinosaurs, but most dinosaurs actually became chickens. Yeah, so Charizard is a chicken now. Wait, what? And finally, a Pokemon's types are not determined by their looks. Yes, in a lot of cases, looks go very much aligned with the abilities of a Pokemon. Like fire types usually are kind of hot, have a flame somewhere. Grass types do have some plant element to them. Usually that is the case, but not all of the time. And Charizard just does not have dragon abilities. Yes, it can learn some dragon type moves, but that doesn't make it a dragon type. It's not inherent in its DNA that it is a dragon type. It's different from that. It's a fire flying type. The DNA tells us. Maybe in the ancient past there were Charizards that were part dragon. Hence Charizard X, right? Which is a dragon type. But the nowadays Charizard is not. And that's just because it doesn't have the abilities of a dragon type. You might question, well, what are the specific abilities of a dragon type then? And we do not have a clear-cut answer for this. But I would say it's like the dragonic energy that you can see in a lot of dragon type attacks and stuff. The mythicality surrounding them. Not quite being legendary beings or mythical beings, but being rare-ish and also strong-ish. Not every dragon type is super strong, sure, but, well, Charizard is also not weak, but it just doesn't have that power of the dragon. It's hard to explain because Pokemon doesn't give us a, well, definitive answer on what a dragon type actually is. But Pokemon does tell us that Charizard is not a dragon. And, well, with this, I rest my case. And now you all start to argue in the comments why I'm completely wrong about this, even though the Pokemon Company does state it's a fire flying type and not a dragon type. So I am right about this. I'm just kidding, of course. I mean, we can have a healthy discussion down there about why it should be a dragon type, why it isn't a dragon type. Whatever you wanna, well, put your 2 cents into. I have a few buckets down there. Wait, why would people put their 2 cents in a bucket? Why isn't it even called That's My 2 cents? Oh well, yeah, type in the comments your thoughts on my reasoning here. Do you agree? Do you disagree? At least with some points you have to agree, right? Especially the gameplay points, that makes the most sense, I would say, so yeah. And then, when you finished writing your comment, or comments, you can write multiple if you want to, don't forget to become a dragon yourself. Yeah, how to do that? That would be cool, becoming a dragon, right? And it's easy, you just have to press the like and subscribe button, as well as that little bell to keep updated whenever I upload a video for you. Chances are you might not turn into a dragon doing this, though. Keep that in mind. Also, while you're at that, check out the links down in the description below, leading to my Twitter, Instagram, and Discord, where I keep you updated, post stuff, all the good things. You know what I do there. You have been there on these platforms, or maybe you haven't. Well, feel free to join. And also check out my Twitch, where I livestream every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I hope to see you over there as well, and until next time, bye-bye!